Hello guys and welcome back to the Volks Wizard channel. Now some of you may know a couple of months ago I made a very early first drive video on the brand new Audi RS3, but unfortunately the driving element of that video was quite limited because the car was brand new and not run in. Well, we're going to make amends for that today because we have this very nicely run in Python yellow Audi RS3 saloon to do as we wish with, courtesy of the guys at Audi UK. What we want to find out today is whether the new RS3 can really entertain a typical driver, or whether it's just a car that's designed to please journalists who like to skid up Alps or go drifting on a skid pan. To help me find out this very, very important conclusion, I've got my good friend Simon Harper here, who you've seen on the channel before.
Hi.
And he should be a really good sounding board to try and unravel the new RS3's very complicated dynamics. But before we do that, let me just give you a quick look around the outside and the inside of the brand new Audi RS3. Now if you want to see a video where this RS3 is looked at in more detail, check out my 7 days with the new Audi RS3 video that dropped a few days ago. Right, now let's start off then by talking about the spec of this RS3. So it's a launch edition. These were kind of distributed to the dealers unordered, and I think most of them are sold by now. They've got a very good spec, which we'll talk about in detail shortly. It's £61,000 on the road, and that includes a £1,000 premium for it being a saloon. There's also £575 there of Python yellow. You can have Kimura grey for free if you want to go a little bit more stealthy. Right then, Simon, tell us what you've got on paper there for the spec, and we'll just have a look around it.
So we've got three separate sections to the spec. So the packs that it's got over the normal RS3, it's got the driver assistance pack, it's got the darkened matrix LED headlamps, you can see there, really rather nice. It's got adaptive suspension with drive select, comfort and sound pack, including the Bang & Olufsen sound system. Exterior spec over a normal RS3, it's got the 19-inch alloys. Yeah,
so they've all got 19, they're all the same size wheels and tyres. It's just the style of wheel that changes between the Vorsprung, the carbon black and the base model.
And you can see all the black bits it's got. So it's got a high gloss black pack, panoramic sunroof.
Yeah, so that gives you the black at the front of the roof as well, which looks really good on this car with the black pack.
It's got sports exhaust.
Yeah, black tips if they're not covered in salt. Yeah.
Brake calipers in red.
Yeah, I'm not sure they go with the yellow so much, but you're going to have a choice.
Sure about that. And then finally we've got the interior spec over a normal RS3. Speed limiter at 280 kilometers an hour, which I think is about 100.
That's 174. Yeah, it's weird because some press releases say 290 kilometers an hour, which is 180. And some say 174, 280 kilometers an hour. Well, I've looked in the manual and it says depends on the country which one you get. So, but Joe Achilles pushed a UK spec car beyond 280, went to 285 in his videos. So I would suggest we get the higher one, whatever that means. I wouldn't pay extra for it, but it's part of the launch edition spec. So
yeah, and it's got heads-up display, like an aircraft.
Yeah, it's got electric backrest and base adjustment and four-way lumbar. And there's a Bang & Olufsen thing to brighten up the door card. There's also got some pretty looking speakers on the shelf, so it's not just the front door cards on this saloon.
And it does say on here 360-degree camera, but we don't think it's on the car.
No,
I think that's down to the chip shortage at the moment.
Oh, is that why? Right.
I think they've taken some bits off.
Got you. Okay, let's see. Should we have a look inside in more detail? We won't dwell on the interior quality, we've covered that in the past. It's just a shame we can't get the dress-up packs for the interior, which would give us coloured stitching, edge to the seat belts and Alcantara steering wheel.
And the other thing, Andrew, is the steering wheel.
Yeah.
I know some people like round ones, but they look so much cooler when they've got a flat bottom.
They do, and this is because of the driver assistance pack, and this is what frustrates me massively. I want automatic main beam, I want adaptive cruise control. I don't want lane assist, but you have to order it as a driver assistance pack, and that means that because you get lane assist in that, you have to have the round steering wheel so that the computer can tell when your hands are on the steering wheel. Why it has to be round on the RS3 or S3 and A3, I don't know, because on my Golf it's got the same packs and it's got a flat bottom steering wheel like your Golf R did, so it's a mystery, and I wish Audi would just unpick that pack. Unpick that pack, there we go. Hashtag unpick that pack and give us a flat bottom steering wheel.
I don't get that.
What are the highlights in here? Well, you get the RS3 logo on the floor, you get illuminated sill covers. It is much nicer in here than when you got the Alcantara Dynamica microfiber interior, it feels a lot more expensive. So choose that very carefully because it feels like a lot cheaper car, and this is sort of borderline really for a car that's over 60k. Quite nice inlays on this car. Other than that, it's really, there's not an awful lot to talk about. Sunroof is a nice touch, brightens up the interior a bit. Just have a quick look at the outside while we're here. So we've got these vents which apparently are active, we've got extended sills. Check out the width of that front wheel. So that's a 9-inch wheel, and it's from like ET26. Yeah. I haven't seen an ET that low for ages, so it means it sits out a lot, and it looks really good. It's got a good stance for the first time on a production car I've seen for a long time. The downside is this flicks up a lot of dirt. So yeah, if you like to keep your cars clean, this may not be the car for you unless you live in a city. But if you live in the countryside like here, where there's mud everywhere for about 5 months of the year, it's going to get dirty very, very quickly. At the back, we've got this black spoiler, we've got the honeycomb, and we've got the very nicely done exhaust tips that are in the rear valance.
Is there some fakery in here then?
Yeah.
They're not, are they real?
They're tips, they just sit there. That's pretty normal though. That's what R8 has had forever.
I can forgive it that.
If you put
it's a lovely looking thing.
If you connect it to the bumper properly, you're going to melt in the bumper. So I think, do you know what? I think it does work pretty well in saloon. It kind of.
You caught this one again though.
Oh.
Look, there's a crease here.
Oh my God, did I do that? That's just the concave surfacing. It gives it more of a stance, doesn't it?
Isn't it incredible though, compared with that S3? This is the same base car, and look how much better it is.
Yeah.
With a set of wheels, black pack. I know that might be fakery on that front wing.
Apparently it does do something, and the least thing it will do is relieve pressure in the front wing. So then that will keep the front of the car.
And it chucks muck down the side of your car as well.
Well, I don't think it does. I think it chucks muck from this bit sticking out.
If it chucks muck down the side, you know, Audi Quattro rallying and all that, probably quite cool.
Yeah, it did look cool.
Good on these cars.
Yeah, everybody loved it on social media. It's just getting in and out of the car, you get it all over your jeans. Just quickly talking about the brakes, they are big. I haven't found out how big they are yet. I'm reckoning 380 maybe, because they're a bit like the Cupra ones, the A380. One thing that I should point out is that even though this is Audi's most thorough dynamic effort on this platform, they still give you brake discs that are not handed correctly. So on this side, the drill holes point towards the back of the car when they're on the top of the disc there, and on the passenger side, the drill holes point forwards. Yeah, I'm not going mad. So one side of this car, we can't exactly work out which, has got better cooled brake discs than the other.
So if you're on the track, you like to walk one side,
yeah,
and then the other side will be fine.
Isn't that what you did to your...
I did that very thing for the track day.
So the Mark 7 Golf GTI Club Sport S, that pinnacle of Volkswagen's engineering on that Mark 7 platform, that had the same problem, and Simon promptly warped his discs in like a track evening, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I'm really careful to cool brake discs now.
So yeah, I mean, on some RS models you can still get handed brake discs, so they're different left and right on the front axle, but on this one not. So I'd highly recommend, if you're even thinking about taking your car on track, to get the ceramic brake option, because as part of the RS dynamic pack it's not actually that expensive. Okay, we think we need big brakes to get the most out of this car, but do we need big balls? Well, let's go and find out. I don't normally need to have a look in an owner's manual to work out how to drive a car properly, but with the RS3 I do, and Simon's just going to help us go through the different drive modes. So there are actually 7 to choose from. Efficiency is pretty straightforward. What does it say for that? Just how to drive in the most fuel economical way.
Yeah.
Comfort, I think, is for
more comfortable ride, suitable for long motorway trips.
Auto, it says a good all-rounder for daily use, doesn't it?
Yeah, but dynamic ride, and is a good choice of setup for everyday use.
Okay, so you get dynamic ride. Well, it is an RS. Dynamic mode then, how does that differ?
Well, it says
the revs go up.
It's a tighter setup and is ideal for performance driving.
Okay, and then we get into the RS specific mode. Well, RS individual is just basically individual, where you can mix and match your modes. You have to actually use a touchscreen to get that, or the button on the steering wheel. You can't use a drive select button for that, strangely. So let's do that. So individual, mix and match, you can choose the torque splitter. The car has got a very advanced rear drive system on it. It's much more complicated than Haldex. The big difference is that it can take all of the available torque and distribute it to one side or other of the rear axle. It's worth pointing out, all of the available torque doesn't mean all the torque. It means, I think, 50% of the torque. That's all the torque that goes to the back of the car can go to one side or other to help you get around corners and to fight understeer. So in individual mode, we can have that in comfort, balanced or dynamic. Drive system in efficient, balanced or dynamic. What do you reckon that is? Throttle response? It's got to be, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's complex, isn't it? It's complex.
And suspension, because we've got adaptive suspension, we can have comfortable, balanced and dynamic. Steering as well, we can have comfortable, balanced and dynamic. And engine sound, now this is a very interesting one. I think it's piping in fake RS3 into the cabin.
I like that though, the fact that it comes up with, as any other car, got engine sound subdued, you can select, automatic, or pronounced.
Yeah. What's the Golf R got? It's got pure, I think, as well, which is like no fakery.
Yeah.
So there is definitely some noise to this car. We're in dynamic. It does make some noise, but I'm pretty sure it's being augmented through the speakers. So individual, we can mix and match what we want. Great. Tell us what it says in there about the other mode, which is RS Performance.
RS Performance is designed for maximum cornering stability and is recommended for use on racing circuits.
Okay, so it's not, it doesn't say you can mix and match, does it?
No.
So why has it got the icon next to it where you can go into it and mess around with it? I can have the suspension in comfortable or dynamic for going around a race circuit. I can mess around with the steering, and I can have the ESC on or in dynamic. I can't actually turn it off. One thing you can't touch though is the torque splitter. So what mode do you think the torque splitter is in RS Performance? You know, is it going to oversteer massively or not?
Yeah.
Totally
it's a complex
confused.
car.
And then of course we have RS Torque Rear, which you can't fiddle around with. It's fixed. It says here, do not use on public roads, switch to ESC off for advanced functions. So
there's a warning in the handbook.
yeah, there's a warning here as well.
Do not use mode on public roads, risk of accident.
So we've turned it off altogether, but I don't think it gives you functions you can play around with, does it? Let's have a look. No, you can't actually go to torque rear from this. That's probably a good idea, because you could select it by mistake. No, when it says functions, I think it means you do big skids. So now unfortunately, because our driving licenses and our probably life are quite important, we can't really be testing that on the public road today. I think we'll start off with dynamic mode.
Oh, I was hoping you start with torque rear and do a few donuts in the car park.
The only donuts that are going to be in this car park are served over the counter by the lovely Gilks Garage Cafe, who've been very kind to allow us to film here today. So if you want to drive out, come on down here. It's in the village of Kyneton and they're open Wednesday to Sunday. So check out their website, which I'll put a link to in the description below for opening times. Okay, so dynamic, this is the loudest mode, and it's loud, but
It's loud under acceleration, it's
Yeah.
quiet otherwise.
how much of that's fake, do you reckon?
Quite a bit.
Okay, let's talk about the chassis now anyway. Rides firm, but I think it's just about usable if you're on your own. I think passengers would complain quite a lot about it and maybe do a sneaky press of the drive select button there, which in the left-hand drive position is really easy for them to get to without you noticing, and they'd probably go for comfort mode. We're on this road, which is called Sunrising Hill, and it was actually where Shelsley Walsh Hill Climb originated. That's why there's a sunrising sign for Shelsley Walsh, and it's quite...
There's the back going. It's greasy,
It's
but
quite a good test for a car like this. I think we're just going to do all the testing on this hill because it gives us what we want. So this is dynamic turning.
you can certainly feel the back moving.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of rear activity there in dynamic mode. We've got ESC on fully because it's not our car, it's a public road. And that felt actually quite amazing. The roads are covered in salt and murk. There's very little traction. I'm not completely convinced by these Bridgestone tyres as yet either, so that was a really, really good showing. That was tidy. I don't
Yeah,
think
that was. You could have been Hannah Mickler in a Euro Quattro. some kind of noise it's making when it's under full throttle.
Yeah. Let's see if it's more rally-like in the other modes. But so we agree, dynamic, it's okay. It's not really as loud in the real world as it probably used to be in the older cars. And I'm not sure that's because of OPF. I think that's because drive-by noise regs.
It needs a bit more noise, I think, because it's a sporty car.
I must say the brakes coming down this hill now feel lovely. They're really just like so easy to modulate. I noticed that when I've had the car now for 5 days, and I do like them. But as we said earlier, I'm not sure how long they'd last on track.
I think if you have the carbon ones, though, they'd be great on track, but they might not be quite so good on the road without any heat in them, noisy perhaps.
That's true. Okay, now there's some big balls. We're going to go beyond dynamic, which is unusual for an Audi because normally it tops out at dynamic. There's definitely room for more though, because dynamic's actually quite placid, isn't it? We could turn the ESC off and see what it does in that. I think that's Joe Achilles' favourite mode. Dynamic with no ESC, but I'm not in the mood to go commando, are you?
No, we've got white clean seats in here, so that's all right.
Quite good. All right then, so let's have a play with RS individual mode. So mix and match. Torque splitter, I don't think we want to go no, we'll go dynamic, but we'll keep the ESC on. Drive system we want sharp. Suspension we'll keep balanced for a bit more compliance. Steering in dynamic. Engine sound subdued. Let's see what the real thing sounds like. Okay, let's go. Oh, and we've got the runway mode on the screen now,
which seems to operate backwards.
So the revs come up towards you as you go forward.
That's odd. That's just odd.
That is odd, isn't it?
Maybe the Germans like that, but
the Germans are odd. Yeah.
They should do it from the bottom.
True.
That's a weird display.
Okay, well I'm not looking at it now.
I'm just hanging on.
Van. This is the big balls. It's malleable, isn't it?
Yeah.
You could just really grab it by the scruff of his neck. I am buzzed up by that.
Yeah.
Buzzed up. It's not just that coffee I had earlier.
It's an impressive car. Hang on a minute, I need to go to the verge.
Yeah, I need the torch actually.
Oh, I feel a bit easier now.
Oh,
need some water though.
It's no good getting old, is it? Right, what does that leave then? We have got RS Performance. I'm perplexed by this. We'll keep it in comfortable because I loved the way going up here when it was in the middle mode that you could really sort of feel it moving around. It was talking to you.
I thought the suspension was better.
That's good, wasn't it? Well, we'll go soft.
Much better.
Dynamic. I don't know what this means now. We better go and find out, hadn't we? I'm going to put ESC on. So
yeah, I think just to be.
So what we've got soft suspension. We don't know what the torque splitter is going to do. But you know what? What I've realised about this car, unlike the A3 and the normal and the F3, I don't really care about this interior. I don't even notice it.
It's better.
Too busy thinking about the dynamics of it.
Yeah, it's better. It is better. Subtly better.
Yeah. It bombards you with sensory stuff, this car does. The noise, the feel through the steering.
Yeah. But it's done away with those horrible stitching that was here. That was
A&E stitching has gone from the top of the dashboard, which is interesting, isn't it? So why do they put it on the lower spec cars and not on the top spec RS3?
It's still got some pretty. The plastics are not brilliant. And I'm just going to do the carpet test. Yeah, it's got the up carpets in it.
Yeah, they've got an up market with the carpets.
Yeah. Whatever happened to thick part carpets in an Audi?
Yeah. Oh, the head-up display's got like a. It's got a change-up thing. Oh, and we have got full manual mode in the more dynamic modes, so it won't change up for you. It just sits on the rev limiter.
That's cool. We'll
find out in.
Yeah.
I'll demonstrate shortly. I'll very gladly demonstrate shortly. Okay, so manual mode.
Serious grunt, isn't it? Serious grunt. There's
So they've got the
very
gearbox,
few
right, then?
cars that could touch it in terms of traction's phenomenal.
Look at the road, they couldn't be any worse. Right, let's see how much grip we've really got. So second gear, it's probably a bit too much for this one because I don't want to go on the wrong side of the road. Whoa! Feel the back going then. Right, this is the daddy.
Oh, lovely, lovely, lovely.
It was tidy then, wasn't it? There wasn't an awful lot of oversteer.
Yeah, it was nice though. You could feel it just pushing from the back.
RS Performance seems to have the torque splitter in its middle setting for fast lapping, and with the dampers in comfort mode it's perfect for the Nürburgring, but on the public road RS Individual with the torque splitter set to dynamic and ESC on is good, safe fun. One little thing I really want to mention is that the laws of physics still apply. If you pile into a downhill corner without a lot of throttle, you are still going to understeer. That's just what cars do.
You go through the hedge frontways as opposed to backwards.
That's right. There's still a lot of weight over the front axle. I'm not going to do it now, but I'll just give you an example of how it can happen. So we've got a sharp left-hander coming up. When on the brake, so we really don't want to get on the gas, and it's not now the time when you really want to get on the gas. But if you do that too fast, you'll be on the wrong side of the road.
There's a proper driving technique with this car, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's kind of getting your braking done into the apex, and then getting on the power coming out.
Yeah. But it's not a car you can learn on the public road. We both said independently that we think a lot of these cars are going to get crashed, especially if you turn the ESC off. Four-wheel drive cars already have a reputation for people thinking they can't unstick them, and they do quite easily. And I think with the torque splitter, there's a lot more potential for ending up in a ditch.
There's a false sense of confidence you can get from a car like this, and it's got a lot of power.
Yeah, so we'd suggest either Audi UK organise a driving day on a skid pan for people to get the feel for their cars, or owners get together and they go and hire one, because you're never ever going to feel this car's potential on the road. Now, I nearly found this out for myself through painful experience. I was going around a slow second gear corner with RS individual mode and torque splitter set to dynamic, ESC set to sports. When I got back on the power on the corner's exit, there was a spike of oversteer that sent me off the road. I had to correct it with a dab of opposite lock to not crash. That was because I turned ESC from fully on to ESC sports. I suggest you don't do that unless you really know what you're doing. Well, once again, I'm back at Cafe in Machine because I think this is a place where the RS3 needs to fit in if it's succeeded. It needs to appeal to the kind of person that comes here, who's into cars and into driving. Do you think it's succeeded with that?
Yes, it has. It's a fabulous B-road car, and it's got great bandwidth in terms of, the ride quality. It can go from being quite soft to being quite firm, and it's just got that incredible engine. It's an engine that everyone should experience before they die, I think. For sure. And before, in pretty much every other car that had that 5-cylinder engine, there would be a price to pay, and that price would be understeer. And I wouldn't say it's completely gone for this car. If you drive like an idiot or you barrel into a downhill bend that's a bit greasy, you will still understeer quite dramatically. But power understeer is, I think, non-existent now, even in some of the more subdued modes with ESC on. It's still a lovely neutral car, and if you ramp up the modes, it just gets more and more tail happy. So if you could buy one of these, just be very, very careful with it, because they're not going to make so many of them, and we want them to be around after 2030. We don't want them to be written off in 2022, because it is a spiky car. At 7/10, it's quite a lovely car to drive. That last 3/10, if you want to go to the edge, to the envelope, then it could bite you.
So the package, it's really impressive. The interior, which has bugged me in A3 and F3, strangely, even though this is like 60,000 quid, it doesn't seem so much of an issue, because the depth of engineering just makes up for it. It's just, you can feel that the guys at Audi have put everything into this car, and it's just a steering wheel. Well, we are still left with a tiller from a ship, and maybe at this performance point we shouldn't be forced to have lane assist if we want auto main beam, and then be forced to have a round steering wheel. I don't think in Germany they're forced to have that, because they can have what they want. Here it's a package that we were all given in one go, and it just seems to be at odds with the hardcore nature of the rest of the car. A flat bottom wheel would just suit it to perfection.
Yeah, it's annoying, but it is so quick. And to come back to that engine, it's probably the quickest car.
Well, yeah.
And I've had experience with some four-wheel drive stuff.
Yeah.
And it's the quickest car 0 to 60 launching I've ever experienced.
We've definitely accelerated the fastest in our lives, probably short of aeroplanes in that car. But it's also not bad on fuel. So in my other video I do some MPG tests. We see 35 on the motorway quite easily, 30 driven without considering economy. I don't think that's bad considering the level of performance. I would say that's on par with the Mark 7 Golf R, which wasn't the most efficient car. No, they've got a lot better in recent years, so that's not a bad sort of comparison for that performance.
A lot more performance,
yeah,
a lot more.
And it's interesting to compare it with the 8R, which Simon used to own, and we drove on a video on the same roads. It's a lot more tail happy, isn't it? Even though
the 8R is a great car, but this just takes it on another stage.
You had a performance by 8R, you had the torque vectoring. It didn't make itself as apparent as it does in this car.
Just imagine if Volkswagen put that engine in a Golf R. Will they ever do it? Maybe just 2 Audi, that is. No,
I don't think so. We've got it in the Cupra 4 Mentor if you want it left-hand drive in Europe, but it's a big SUV. I think in that package, that engine, it's the best RS ever.
Yeah.
Anyway guys, thanks for watching this Volkswizard video. If you've enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. As ever, please do comment, please do share, please do subscribe, and I'll see you for the next video, hopefully very soon.